Alright, let's talk about Flutterina, a She-Ra ally who appeared pretty sporadically through the series. As She-Ra allies go, Flutterina isn't that interesting, but her starring episodes definitely are. Also, weirdly, even though she has a background cameo in the Season 1 episode, Enchanted Castle, her origin episode is out of Cocoon, which only appeared in Season 2. And look at that, it's another Don Heckman script. So, because you can probably guess that this episode involves butterflies, it starts off with Glimmer throwing a hissy fit over some caterpillars in her garden and getting watered by Snoutspout, another super weird She-Ra ally. Then, at the end of the episode, she discovers that those yucky caterpillars turned into butterflies. I can't stress enough that Snoutspout is almost like a friggin' urban legend. Mattel marketed the ever-loving fuck out of this character, and yet he has got to be one of the goofiest looking characters in this entire toy line. And you have to remember, he has some pretty stiff competition. This is also Snoutspout's only appearance where he had dialogue, and of course, he just sounds like Sven.
I could spray the plants and wash away all the worms!
Well, the actual plot concerns a war between two desert nations, one headed by an evil ginger Santa Claus looking fucker called Commander Condor. Honestly, even though this is the most bellicose random character we've seen on She-Ra, he has one of the lamest looking armies in the series. They're all literally just guys in brown tights flying on gray sky sleds. After all the Heckman weirdness on He-Man, this seems like a real letdown. Well, She-Ra is delivering food to the nation that Condor's troops are oppressing, but they decide to steal the food for themselves and manage to get She-Ra caught in their super beam. She then gets helped out by the cleaning lady called Little One, who stupidly sticks her mop out in front of the beam. Well, okay, the beam gets disengaged, freeing She-Ra, but she also gets knocked out in the process. Then She-Ra brings her to Light Hope, where she gets magically cocooned and turns into Flutterina. Okay, that's more traditional Heckman stuff. Good going, Don. I was getting a little worried there. So now, with her new flying ally, She-Ra kicks Condor's ass and then manages to get him and the prince of the other nation to agree on a ceasefire while She-Ra digs a ditch into the desert to provide them both with water. I wonder if this is where Colonel Gaddafi got his Sahara watering plan from. Now, honestly, Out of the Cocoon is really only memorable for its various weird moments, like this one.
Maybe you better put this fellow where he won't get into any more trouble.
You bet.
Because the core narrative isn't super interesting. However, it is another weird impromptu origin story episode, because beyond the title and maybe that caterpillar moment at the start, nothing about this episode really foreshadows that it has anything to do with Flutterina. We just have this weird character suddenly come in the middle of the episode and whoops, okay, she is Flutterina, I guess. But the writing at least is pretty solid on this one, as are the action scenes. Flutterina's second big appearance was of course in Lesson in Love, which was one of my dishonorable mentions on my bottom 10 She-Ra episodes list. I would say this is another SCC episode with another runaway prince called Kevin. Seriously, his name is fucking Kevin. Look, I know this is a show from the 80s, but they seriously couldn't come up with a slightly more original or fantasy name. But also, Kevin really only acts stupidly at the very start of the episode, after which he's pretty decent, so that's not really fair. Anyway, Kevin is nabbed by the Horde by complete accident while he's running away from home, and when Mantenna is opening a dimensional door to look for the Horde's troops because they misplaced them? Are we sure Heckman didn't just write this script too? Anyway, Shadow Weaver puts Kevin under a spell and sicks a big spider on Flutterina, whom Kevin then rescues and is taken to the Twiggets Carnival. Now, if you're getting the feeling like this episode's plot is a bit all over the place and a little on the goofy side, yeah, that's kind of my principal problem with it. At the carnival, Kevin breaks some magical seal, the Horde attacks, and nabs Flutterina. Cal saw Kevin, revealing that he's under Shadow Weaver's spell, and so they decide to go ask Madame Raz's magic mirror for advice. Yeah, Madame Raz has a magic mirror, didn't you know? Probably not, because he's literally introduced at the start of the episode. See, I told you this episode is just random as fuck. Well, all said and done, She-Ra gets immobilized by the world's loosest magic lasso, used by Leech. I mean, seriously, She-Ra, just lift your arms. Just do it for me, babe. It's not that hard. And in the end, Kevin proves that the power of boners is stronger and breaks free of Shadow Weaver's mind spells. Okay, I jokingly called this episode Flutterina is a cradle robber in my bottom 10, But honestly, Kevin and Flutterina interact with each other so little that the episode title really feels like a misnomer. I mean, yeah, I can tell Kevin could have the hots for someone like Flutterina, but he's like 10, tops. Seriously, what the fuck, Filmation? But I will say the visual of Flutterina getting taken by Hordak and Shadow Weaver getting dunked with water are just priceless. Which is probably the reason I didn't have the heart to put this on the bottom 10. It is a shitty episode with erratic writing, but it's also luckily dumb enough that you can actually laugh at it. And that's the reviews for this time. Until next time, I have the power, so can you.
We have the power.